Welcome to Album Talk Space. It's such an honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll just get right into it. As you can see, your people have been here for a while and they've been waiting and they cannot wait to hear you speak. So
I'm ready.
first of
I'm
all,
ready.
all right, so I'll just give you like a format of how we do things here so you have a working idea that would
Mm.
guide you. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so for the first couple of minutes, I'll ask you a couple of questions about your music, your headspace as regards the music, your plans for the year, etc. And then after that, would hand over the mic for a few minutes to the people listening in, and then they'll also get to ask their own questions as regards,
Mm-hmm.
anything that they might have in mind.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, let's just dive right into it. So I think anybody that's on this space knows who Ayra Starr is. Over the past couple of years, she's established herself as one of the most prominent um artists in Afrobeats. In the past, she debuted with her debut EP in 2021. It's just been 4 years of just greatness and new milestones year round. And she has two albums out already. Last year was a very monumental year for Ayra. And let's talk about your sophomore album for a while before we come down to the new music and things that you have in store
Oh
for
yeah.
us. So you had a very, very big 2024. You released the most
Crazy.
streamed.
A crazy
Yeah,
2024. Like
yeah.
more than I could have ever even imagined my 2024 could go. Actually, that's a lie. I knew it was gonna be crazy. I'm trying to be humble. I'm trying to be humble.
I mean, talk your shit. It's definitely allowed for someone that's accomplished that much. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. It was crazy. I can't lie. It was crazy.
yeah. And so the year I turned 2021, it was the most streamed Afrobeat album of last year, and even like already in the top 10 of all
Mm-hmm.
time already. And there was discourse. There was a discourse going on the original dates. It's been originally slated for release in 2023, which was the year you actually did turn 21, and then
Yes.
before it got released last year. So that just got me thinking. Despite the fact that the project got pushed forward, aside from that, were there any major changes? Like what the album that we got in 2024, was it the same album we would have gotten in 2023 if it got released?
Definitely not. I feel like the album in 2023 wouldn't have had as much impact as the album in 2024 had because I got enough time to really understand what I was trying to do with that album, and I got time to make
Okay.
like timeless music while I was on tour, while I was around. To be honest, I wouldn't know because everything is like God that made it possible. So I
Yeah.
don't know what I would have done in 2023. It could have been a whole different thing, but I feel like it was a different sound. I knew what I was doing then, but I wasn't really sure. I was very anxious. But 2024, I was relaxed. I was like, oh yeah, let's go. So yeah.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. Let's take you back to even your debut album because 19 and Dangerous, that's one of my own favorite Afrobeat albums of all time. It's there in my top five. I
Thank
really,
you.
really love
Thank
that
you.
album. And I was so surprised when that album got announced because it was just 8 months after your debut EP, and I was like, wow, protocol is usually like an artist to release their debut EP in their breakout year, and then a year or two after, then they'll follow it up with their debut album. But you were just doing that just 8 months after that, and that was amazing. And I also did my research and found out that that was not even the idea. You were the one that pushed the label with a pitch to drop
Yes.
that album. So I mean that kind of confidence, that kind of conviction at just 19. I mean, how did you how did that come out to be? Like, were you always confident that the album was going to do that, or you were just taking a chance on fate also?
I was just going, to be honest. I was listening to
Okay.
myself. I was listening to myself. I had this childlike faith. I was just like, okay, let's do it. This is what we should do. This is that. And I knew like I had a story to tell, and I can't tell that story in one song or two singles. I wanted to make an album, and I was about to turn like 20. So I was like, okay, let's release an album, and I have to be a teenager when I release this album,
So you
or else
released
it's
that
not
album.
gonna
Okay.
have the impact I want it to have. Because growing
Yeah.
up, I wanted to become a teen pop star. That was a main thing for me because I didn't get to see that growing up. I
Yeah.
used to watch like Disney, and I was like, why don't we have this in Nigeria? Why don't we have this in Africa? I want to be that person. So I was like, okay, we need to release an album before I become an adult and start paying taxes because, please.
Yeah, and I mean, I've noticed that consistent theme with your albums. It always feels like, there's a coming of age vibe to it. The first album being 19 and Dangerous, the second
Hmm.
album be the year 2021. So would this be like a consistent thing going on where every album is like, a major a collection of the different experiences you've had at those significant ages, or, you're just vibing basically?
To be honest, I hope it becomes, that. But at the same time, I just don't like doing what is expected. Like the fact that people
Okay.
expect it now. My stubborn mind will want to name my album Road
Something else.
something or something else. I'll just change it for everybody.
I
But
feel
I
you, I
just
feel you.
hope it becomes. It depends on what the music is saying. I just allow the music lead me at the end of the day.
All right. So let's talk about your new song that dropped today, titled All the Love. Now, you've always been a pop star that has been very versatile. Despite, I feel like
Hmm.
when you broke out, you were majorly doing R&B, and then we saw you venture into pop, and then which
Hmm.
the second album, had more pop influences than, R&B, and then we also saw a variety of other things. We even saw reggaeton, we saw
Hmm.
reggae, we saw Fuji, we saw uh,
Everything,
different
everything.
different stuff. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very ambitious on that level. But I feel like this song is kind of rebooting time back to the R&B which
Hmm.
something I prefer doing, just saying. So, I mean, moving forward, can we say that whatever next project you have in store is kind of going back to being R&B centric, or, it's just a single, I'm reading too much meaning into it?
That's a very good question because that's what I was
Yeah.
having a conversation with my producer as well. I was in the studio today and I was like, my music I'm making right now is very much inspired by the music I listened to growing up. I don't know why, but it's something very nostalgic about the music I'm making right now. I love
Okay.
Diallo. Diallo was supposed to be the single to come out,
Yeah.
and I made
Yeah.
I made all the love. Give me that. I mean, give me that was supposed to be the single. Then I made all the love like the next day after my show, me sick and all. And I
Okay.
was just like, there's something about the song. Like this song lifted my spirits because it just made me feel good. So I feel like releasing all the love was more of like a selfish thing for me as an artist, doing something for
Okay.
myself and I feel like when you do something for yourself, other people can relate to it. And it becomes less about what the market wants and what is going to, it just becomes timeless music and good music because of if I need it, then trust me, there's like 50 million people that also need it in Lagos, in Nigeria. Do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
coming back to your question, it's I would say I love R&B. I'm making very R&B centric music, but I
Music.
also
Okay.
get bored easily. So tomorrow I might enter the studio and start making trap Afro beats or something. So it just depends on where the music takes me to. Yeah.
And now it's very interesting that you mentioned trap, because I mean one of my favorite songs of your debut album, which was Toxic, it had a trap beat on it, and it was still totally R&B. So I mean,
Hmm.
just doing R&B doesn't mean you have to restrict yourself to the
Yeah, of course.
conventional
Of
templates
course.
of
I
R&B.
feel
You
like
can
if you think
totally
about
go all
it,
the way.
Bad Vibes is almost an R&B song, no?
Yeah,
It's almost a trap song, I mean. It's almost a
yeah,
trap
yeah,
song.
yeah,
Because at the point
definitely.
I started like, you know, tell me trap shit. Hold up, hold up. I was having the time of my life because I just got to mix so much elements of music and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to make sense, but it just has to feel good. And that's all that matters to me.
Okay. I mean, do you feel like you had more fun creating music that time when there wasn't like so much pressure on you compared to now in this capacity of being one of the front runner of Afrobeats? Like, do you feel more pressure these days as opposed to back then?
Right now, I don't feel
Yeah.
pressured. I'll say maybe
Okay.
last year, maybe or 2023 when I was making the year I turned 21, I definitely felt some type of pressure, but that didn't really help me in any way, you know? And it's just, I've seen it time and time again about just trusting the music. It's just about
Yeah.
trusting the music. Like I have people on the business side that will make it work at the end of the day. Like shout out to my amazing team and my label. But it's about me
Yeah.
trusting the music and writing it out to the end. Like let's see how far this song can go. So there is pressure, but the pressure is good pressure. Like I work
Yeah.
well under pressure.
hmm I feel like there's a difference between internal pressure and external pressure, and that internal
Mm.
pressure is mostly the positive ones that keeps you going because you are the one
Yes.
that has these expectations of yourself and the
Yes.
standards that you want to
Yes. And
maintain.
that's the only type of pressure I feel because I know the standards of things I
Yeah,
want to do. But at the same time, it's also me being very patient with myself because things don't always work out the way you want it to. And I've learned that, you understand? So it's just about me trusting the process, trusting God, and trusting my music.
makes a lot of sense. Last year you had your first major concert, the first major end of the year concert in Lagos, and I mean, being one of Afrobeat's biggest stars, you've definitely had performances across the world on your own tour, as a guest on other people's another.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear
I'm
me?
listening.
Uh,
Because,
you
like,
know,
you're really, like, just reminding me, like, my head should be big, sometimes. Go on. Go on, I'm listening. Tell me more. Tell me
yeah.
more.
So I mean, you've performed across like multiple cities, all across the world. But last year was your first major concert in Lagos. Did that
Mm.
feel extra rewarding for you coming back home to Lagos? Where everything started, even though you're like even a hot commodity overseas these days.
You know, it did feel, it felt so, like, I feel like I was doing what my purpose was. I don't know how to explain it, but I
Yeah.
have performed in front of, like, stadiums, Coldplay and all of that, open for them, and I
Yeah.
had to sing this and arenas. I did arenas and stadiums in the same year, like back to back. I
Crazy.
just felt like
Crazy.
God is preparing me for something. It just feels like that because it's like back to back training. It's not just like enjoyment. It's also back to back training, and I don't know what it is, but God is preparing me. Okay, I know what it is, but God is preparing me for something. But coming back to Lagos and just seeing my people, people that have even like the Abuja show, seeing like people that have
Okay.
been there since the first like show I did in Abuja, like coming out and just crying and just feeling the music. And I remembered like these are people that inspired me in the first place. These are people that made me,
Absolutely.
took
Yeah.
me to the stage that I want to be. I was so emotional. Like I was trying not to cry like during certain times because I was also sick
Yeah.
on stage. But it just reminded me of how much what I'm doing matters. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, still on the same sentiment of the whole rewarding experience of being on tour. Um, I know you've been touring for multiple years now, more than 3 years, and you've
Mm.
definitely had multiple experiences that have even influenced or inspired songs at this point. But like, has there ever been that standout experience? It doesn't necessarily have to be on stage. It could be backstage. It could
Mm.
be at the hotel. It could be just like a conversation with someone in a new country where they're just trying to introduce you to the culture. Like, has there been that one unforgettable experience that has totally been life changing for you on tour?
I would say me meeting Rihanna was definitely like
Okay.
one of the most life changing experiences of my life. Because people usually say like, don't meet your icon,
Okay.
and
Yeah, yeah, don't meet your heroes.
yeah, but like don't meet your heroes. But I'm
Yeah.
so glad I met mine because it just made me know like what like I was doing like I'm. She loves my music. I got to hang out with
Yeah.
her. We got to talk. We got to gist. We got to laugh. We got to vibe to music. I said
That
we
must
were
have been
talking about
crazy.
songs and Afrobeat songs and how to pronounce things properly, and it just felt like I was home. It just felt like we've known each other like for years, and that
Damn.
experience alone just was just so mind blowing. And anytime I feel a type of way, like I feel a bit down, I just remember, wait, Rihanna loves me. Rihanna listens to me. Rihanna, Rihanna loves my music, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, get up, girl,
Why
get
wouldn't
up.
she? Why wouldn't she do?
Of course, but like it's still like coming from where I come from.
Yeah,
I'm
actually.
I'm very confident,
Yeah.
but I know what I've experienced. I know what my life could have been. It's very easy.
Hmm.
Like I know what my life could have been. I know what path like people I grew up with are on now, and the way the
Yeah.
trajectory of my life just went from 0 to 150 is just
In
crazy.
like
It's still
in
unbelievable
just a couple of years.
in just a
So
couple of years. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I definitely understand your point, how surreal the whole experience must have been because, I mean, probably 5, 6 years back, you were just back at home doing teenager things like, just like any other teenager. Now you're
Yeah,
out
man. I was just
partying,
hustling.
Suhana and
I was
everything. Yeah.
hustling. I was in school. I was just a normal. girl. Like I was just a normal girl. Like I was hustling to buy like my handouts. Like I used to model to try and buy handouts. Like all of that.
Yeah.
Like I used to go and borrow phones because I didn't have a good phone. I had this phone that the camera wasn't that good. So I had to go and, like, I'll
Yeah.
have to walk so far to go and borrow like my friend's phone. And she had like good aesthetics in her house and good like lighting. So I'll sit there in her house,
Mhm.
make videos, post on YouTube, on Instagram, then have to walk back to my house, then collect beating for being late and and like all of that fee. But like it's crazy like how like my
Yeah.
life changed like her, like period, you know? Like,
Honestly. And, I've watched a couple of your interviews in the past, especially when, in the first year you broke out, you always said that you just knew that you were going to be a star. And, that kind of confidence was just very, very mind blowing for me because, like you said, you know how just one decision could change everything and one, wrong turn could have led to another place. And I mean, you're here like you prophesied it and the
mm-hmm.
prophecy has actually, been fulfilled. So it's
Yes,
crazy.
it's
And I'm
crazy.
so, it's so amazing to see you in this place that you're currently in.
Thank you. I want like young girls to be able to see me and just, know like they can do it too. I know it sounds very cliche, but
Yeah.
it does sound cliche now that I hear what I'm saying. But it's the truth, because
Yeah.
I didn't I didn't grow up having that type of like role model to look up to that
Hmm.
looked like me, that was from where I was from, that had my accent and,
Okay.
you know, like had the same upbringing as me or something, but like they have
Yeah.
me and I want to be that person for them. You get me? You get me, fam? So
I
yeah.
feel you. I feel you like mad. Okay, so for the people listening in, very soon we'll be getting to you guys, so you can start, preparing your questions. And remember that when we do get to you, you have to keep it professional, you have to keep it polite, or else your mic could be muted because, we're not taking any negative comments of any sort on this space. So yeah, back to you, Ira. One interesting dynamic that I always found very compelling about your artistry, was when you started out, you were mostly writing your music. You were writing and composing it with your brother, and
Mhm.
coincidentally, your brother was also featured now as an artist on your
Yes.
sophomore album. And
Yes.
now, I think you've worked with some other more writers aside your brother, if I'm correct.
Yes. The most
So
amazing people. I worked with Embryo. I worked with
yeah.
Morello, Dino. So like amazing guys that
So how was
my
that? How's that transition? Was it a big transition to go? Because the chemistry between family can be like otherworldly and totally on a whole new level. But then you
mm,
started working with people that you were just colleagues or friends with. Like, was it a big deal or you just seamlessly adapted also?
usually like earlier, like I would have my brother in the room because he was kind of like my
Okay.
safety blanket.
All
You
right.
know, I just would usually like feel safe with him in the room because I'm usually an overthinker. So when I think of a line, I'm like, no, another line, and it's just like
Yeah.
that works. That works. Don't worry. Trust. So I usually would have him as like my, safety blanket. But my brother too is such an amazing artist and he started music before me. He was more of an artist way before me. Like I used to up to him and be like, oh, I want to be able to do what he's doing, you know? And I just had to respect him as an artist and allow him do his own thing too. Find his own sound, try
Yeah.
different things and see and just, be his own safety blanket because he had been mine for so
Oh,
long, you know?
that's such a full circle moment.
Yes, yes, it is. And working with like I'm so confident as an artist because I know like what I can do and I know what I can't do. And I know the people that
Okay.
can get me what I want to do. I'm kind of like the creative director in the studio. I'm like, no, now, this, that, you know? So I like to produce. I like to sit down with producers that understand my vibe. I like to sit down with writers that know exactly like what I want to say. And Ember is like my therapist. Like we always just I can
Oh.
just say, bro, about something today. And tomorrow is like, I have this vibe. I have this sound. Maybe we should write like,
Mhm.
say like, Baba Dosa, and leave. I'm like, yeah, I didn't think of that. Like, like, like something like that. So it's like, it's more like we are family at the end of the day. We are family.
Yeah. It's very, very, it's a beautiful thing to see artists, that are successful as you are, appreciate the people around them because I feel like these days everybody is just trying to form this whole solo indie thing, like they can do everything by themselves. And there's so many other people that are working alongside them in the music, in the
Yeah.
team, trying to make things happen, but don't get appreciation. So I'm very sure that your people, appreciate you so much because, you never fail to spotlight them when it's needed.
Yeah, because we all need each other at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
I said, like I know my strengths and I also know like what I need help with, right? What I need or what I need another like mind for. I need another point of view for. So yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I just remembered something totally random now. Last year I remember seeing a video, where I think I can't remember what exactly, but it was a promotional video for one of your songs. And then at the ending, I saw directed by Taylor Swift, and I was totally mind blown. And I was like, wait, what? And there's so many people online were asking like, okay, what's going on, with that, and then we never got an actual clarification
To be honest,
as
I don't
regards
I
that.
don't really know what happened to be honest. I don't really know what that
Okay.
was too. I was just vibing, man. I was just having fun with it. Like I'm a weird person at the end of the day. Like I probably was just, Taylor Swift will direct something in the future. Maybe I'm speaking it into existence. But it was just very
I
funny.
mean, it's
Like I
not
was
the first
editing the
time.
video
It's not
with
the first time
my
it will happen.
what did you say?
I mean, it's not the first time you would speak something into existence, so
Exactly.
that's fine. Yeah.
Exactly. So like I was editing this video with my editor and friend May, and she was gonna write edited at me. I was like, no, it's edited by Taylor Swift. Like, what do you mean? And I didn't think she was gonna take it seriously, and she did, and she put it there, and I posted the video, and it just
Oh,
went
wow. That,
viral.
that was that
So
was just very
yeah,
beautiful.
because we're listening to a
So,
lot of Taylor Swift at that time, so it was just it was very cute.
all right. So let's come back to the music. Last year you said, you on the album and the year 2021, there's a very interesting song on there which is titled Lagos Love Story. And
Mm.
yeah, you have a lot of love songs, a lot of candid love songs that where just wearing your heart on your chest
Yeah.
and just professing the love in the most
Yes.
passionate way. But I mean, that song took it to a whole new level where you're saying that you basically want to have babies, like you're down to have babies. So that was like when I heard the song, I was like, okay, this is something new.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
in the interview, you said that you would shoot a video for the song once you find someone to crush on, or when you find a worthy
No,
love interest.
I wrote the song about, and I don't want to ruin the song for people, but I wrote the song about a crush. I'm very like, my mind is very like, I have a big imagination. So when I
Okay.
like somebody, like next thing is that, like, I'm like, this is my
Like something.
person. I want to have babies. Like, let's go. So I wrote this song about like just a guy that I really liked, that I knew and really really liked, and it just made me feel like I was in love. I was very delusional about it. Lagos Love Story is a very
Yeah.
delusional song, but it just made me,
Okay.
it made me it made me feel like I didn't want to shoot a video that and just fake it. Like it just felt like that's how I want love to feel when I do fall in love. You understand? So I was like, yeah, I need to do a video when I am in love with somebody and it's going to be
Okay.
the person in the video. So yeah.
So that could come anytime, like
Like
anytime in the future.
you can never know. You just can't never know.
Okay, let's look towards what's coming. So you've released All the Love. You just recently said that you feel like you're in a more R&B headspace going forward. So can you tell us of your plans for your fans this year? Is there another? Obviously, there will be another single on the horizon at some point. But are we building towards a totally new project, or are we going to get a deluxe like 19 and Dangerous?
So
What's going
I can't give a final answer to that. I'm sorry guys. I know
on? Okay,
I'm sounding like a
all right.
politician, but like I can't give a final answer to that because me too, I don't like I keep changing my mind, you know? I'm very
Okay.
like I'm changing my mind a lot, but like I said, I'm just making R&B music now. Tomorrow I might enter the studio and be inspired by stability
Okay.
again. I want to make DJ YK can just come
That
into
was
the
a
studio
total
and make
moment.
one crazy ass beat, and I'm like, yeah, let's make this. Let's go to the streets. You understand? So it just depends on like the vibes. It depends on the vibes. I just want the vibes to take me, the music to take me. But I am working towards a project. I just can't say if it's a
Okay.
deluxe yet or a
Oh,
new project.
all right. I feel that that's definitely we can work with that for now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I have only two questions left for you, and then we can go to the audience.
Yeah, no.
And last year, there were a lot of major moves you were making. The Coldplay tour opening for Coldplay. I think the year prior, you also went on tour with Chris Brown, and then you work with Khalid. You work with Gideon. It was like, oh, this is a new month. What new thing does Ayra have in store for us? Like, who is she going to be working with? It was a very, very interesting time to be
Yes.
um, a star fan. So, I mean, it was a lot of time. It was a lot of, interesting collaborations in kind of a short period of time. So, it just got me very curious. How does the dynamics with everything go on? Are these people you connected with solely based on the music, and then, and, the collaborations are just happening? Is it like totally fortuitous? Is it fate, or, they were like kind of you it's been strategic. What was the story behind all these interesting collaborations that we got
Yeah,
last year?
I feel like it's a mixture of everything. Some,
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, were strategic because it has to be as an artist. And at the end of the day, like, I'm a sabi girl. I know what I'm doing. Like, we gotta move correct. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's also like I love music and I love this artist, and it's like, oh, I listen to this song and it's like I really want to do this because there might be a stage where I can't even like just do things for the because I want to, or just because I just want to do it because I love music. For the song with Coldplay, like, and some of it is also faith and grace. Like, you wouldn't even
Yeah.
expect like certain people to. I'm like, from where to where? Like, how? Like, how? Why are you singing pigeon?
Yeah.
Like, sir, like, you understand? Like, yeah, that like some of them is just it shocks me more, and I'm enter the studio to like with these amazing people that I've looked up to, and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, my favorite song is Commas. Oh, I like when you
You're
say
like,
Sabi
what?
Kiono they too like talk. I'm like, who? How do you know that? Like, from where to where? You understand things like that.
Yeah.
For Coldplay, Chris was already like a friend. He got my numbers. Like, he just wanted to be in contact with me, and we became friends, and we'll talk like on the phone, like almost like music friends, and I'll play him stuff, and even before a show, and it's like, cause he's from, I think he's from the UK, and he's also African, so even before like a show, like sometimes I'll call and be like, yeah, I'm so nervous, and he's like, yeah, you're that girl, you can do it, da, da, da. And I got to enter the studio with him and Max Martin, and they played me a song, and they were like, we want you on this song, and I was like, but why not? I got to play them my own album, and they were just giving me pointers, do this, do that, some, you know. So it was very like different vibes, to be honest. I can't really say everything was one way, everything was that way. It was just as it come. So yeah.
I feel, I feel like last year you must have had multiple moments where, you were just in the moment and you just dipped the gravitas of everything. You're like, wow, is this really happening? Like, am I really doing all this, amazing things? And then you just had to snap out of it because, hey, work is waiting for you right there. And, you can't, so yeah, I mean, what a year
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
had. What a
definitely,
year you've had.
definitely. I did have like moments like that, even like being in the stadium or being in the arena. Like, arena was even like scarier than what the stadium was because of you could see people, and I wear glasses. I can't really see,
Okay.
but I could see people. But in the stadium, I couldn't really see as much, so I just got to look up. But the more I performed from the arena, I feel like the arena, like trained me for, is that the English? The arena trained me for the stadium. And when I got to the stadium, I wasn't as
Okay.
nervous as I was during the arena tour. And when I got to the stadium, it felt like home. I was like, I'm meant to be doing this. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. 60,000 people are supposed to be clapping for me. Of course. Yes. It felt like home. I was like, yes, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing this
Yeah.
for Africa. I'm doing this for Nigeria. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's one thing to have all these accomplishments, as a person. There's another thing to, be setting the benchmark. Like you said, it's very important for you to be an example, an icon for, young girls growing up because, you didn't exactly have that. But now
Hmm.
people and girls that are just in secondary school or even that are in college now can look up to you and be like, hey, I can
Yes.
also achieve that because
Girls,
I
guys,
like doing that. Yeah.
even people that lived in like the same like places I lived. Like, I used to live in Ijai for like some time. And I see a lot of people like send me messages that they live in Ijayi also, and like they do music now. Like, you understand, like they can't believe somebody
Oh,
like me came from Ijayi, and I'm like, period. You get me?
yeah.
Like, period. So yeah. Thank you so much, guys, everybody. I gotta
Thank
go
you.
now. I gotta go make more music. Thank you, TJ, for even like hosting album talks. Thank you so much for having me. Okay, bye guys.